In politics, optimism can be a virtue as well as a vice. Now, the politicians are usually blinded by it, and governors elected on the platform of the All Progressives Congress have declared that the party is united and ready for its national convention scheduled for Saturday, 26th of March. The chairman of the Progressives Governors Forum and governor of Kebbi State, Atiku Bagudu, said this after their meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari at the presidential villa in Abuja, and insisted that they are united behind the party and the president. Let's share this story with you.
The Progressive Governors Forum is one of the, if not the strongest pressure group in the ruling All Progressives Congress, and has dictated major decisions reached by the party in recent times. Many believe the delay in setting the date for the party's convention was down to the fact that the powerful clique wasn't comfortable with changing the status quo, which was firmly in their favor. But now a 26th March date has been set, and there are still speculations that some governors are moving to shift the date again. The visit of the APC governors, 11 in number, is an opportunity to clear the air, and is cause for speculation considering their number. On their way back from the president's office, the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum agrees to stop and clear the air on that pensive question. Will the National Convention hold on the 26th March?
We were in this hall, about 20 APC governors, and this question came up, and we clearly said we came to discuss the National Convention, which is slated for March 26, and are working hard to ensure that on March 26 we have our convention and elect our national officers.
The release of the INEC timetable for the 2023 general election gives the APC between April and June to produce a presidential candidate. It also leads to the question about whether the party and the governors in particular can present a united front and ensure a flag bearer emerges within that period.
People are talking about differences of opinion before a decision is arrived at. Then maybe that is what people can. But as a body, the 22 governors of APC are united behind the party and behind the Mr. President.
The governors are also in the villa to congratulate the president on his signing of the Electoral Act. Taya Mudu, TVC News, Abuja.
So yes, we've had the issues already on ground, and it seems like there isn't, can we say that the party is set for its national convention? Paul, are you confident that APC will hold its convention come March 26, given some speculations that perhaps it could be postponed again? Well, what are your thoughts?
Well, I don't know what is going to happen really, but as far as I'm concerned, the only persons that are united are the governors. Okay, the governors are united. The governors have an agenda. They have their own agenda. You know how it is now. The governors of APC are a very, very powerful force, a powerful bloc. But they are not the only bloc anyway. But they are a very powerful bloc because they run the parties at the state level. They run the parties at the state level, and many times they have their way. They almost always have their way. They wanted what's it called? They wanted the option of indirect primaries, and they got it. They got the president to withhold his assent to that. Most of the time they get what they want, and then it seems to me that they have decided. They decided that they want it. From the chairman, the chairman of the what's it called? The caretaker chairman is one of them. It is, of course, it's in their meetings as a member of the Progressive Governors Forum. So it's the governor's interest. But the lawmakers they are also waiting. They also have their own interest. Meanwhile, there are still clashes in the states. There are still factions in the states. And efforts are being made to reconcile. How enduring is the reconciliation? How serious, how genuine are the reconciliation efforts? So, well, they might get it, but it's what they're having now is some kind of fragile for me, fragile
unity.
Unity, yes, fragile unity. So for me, the governors are just like a court. Yes, they might get it, but let's see what is going to be the fallout of the convention. It will be interesting to watch, number one, the events that will lead to the convention, and then what will even happen at the convention, and what happens after the convention. So I want to adopt this sit-down-look approach. Let's observe, but I am not too confident that there is the kind of decorum, sanity that is desired. I'm not confident it is existing yet.
Tunde, what are your thoughts? Do you share the same sentiment as well, or you have a divergent view?
Well, I think what we fail to realize so far is that since the beginning of this dispensation in 1999, governors of the federal states, because of the composition and the way people emerge in office, they have always had control over the party. They did the same thing during the time of President Olusegun Obasanjo, except, of course, the fact that President Obasanjo was a very powerful and strong and stubborn president. They almost determine everything they want to do. But this time around, all this delay about convention or no convention is about personal interest. There are three clear interests in APC: the governors, the presidency, and the members of the National Assembly. Exactly. Because most of the second-term governors, they are interested in going to the Senate. And that's why they want to control the resources. If you are a senator now and your governor is interested in coming there in 2023 after his second term, if you don't support him, he may not give you the ticket because you get the ticket from the state. So this thing is about personal interest. Unfortunately for Nigeria, that is why we are not moving as a country. Because all these governors, all these people, they are looking at their personal interest higher than that of the national interest. But what I know is that they will keep on shifting the goalposts until they get to a time, maybe March or August this year, when they know that the goalposts can no longer be shifted. Naturally, by the INEC rule, they must have their convention. All the parties must have that in 12 months. Already, INEC has shifted by 1 week again because of the electoral law. So what is happening now is that the president seems to have been boxed to a corner. But at a particular point in time, the governors also know that they have to shift a little bit. The president was not allowed, he was convinced of the need not to have direct, because direct primary would take the party out of the hands of the governors. And the president, who didn't want to spend money, he also wanted consensus. So between three options, consensus, indirect, and direct. So the president settled for indirect primaries, because if he has to settle for direct primary, it will affect the interest of the governors, though they had an agreement on that level. So what we are having now is that these different tendencies in the APC, because of power and personal interest, they are holding each other, they are looking at each other like this. But what I know is that the moment they are able to have confession, in whatever way they have it, it will shape the future of things to come in APC. It will shape how the governorship candidate and presidential candidate and National Assembly candidate are going to emerge. And that is why all this force. Naturally, Buni, who is the chairman of the Katika committee, is one of the governors. And the governors are always one when they want to hold the party. But this time around, the president wanted another candidate for his own agenda too, for his own interest. But whether the three parties in the party like it or not, there must be a national convention. After that national convention, yes, they said they wanted sooner congresses. After that, they wanted to lessen the national convention. But the president, it is obvious that he wanted consensus. But that is where the problem lies. If they are able to have their convention this March, between March and August, there is going to be a lot of movement within the party. Some governors may even leave that party. Some senators may leave that party.
So are you saying that there could be a third force?
There could be a third force within the political party when you look at what happens. Because this is about power. And power is about interest. They are not playing it for ideological sake. They are playing it for their own personal interest. So there is going to be a lot of things within the ruling party. But the president has to come out and be firm once. Because except you do this, if the party is not strong, you cannot implement any program. Now Nigeria has been diverted. Our attention will be diverted from those people who are seeking office. Not about how to solve the problem they met 7 years ago. Right. It is quite unfortunate. So what is happening is that I pray that the APC will be able to put their ass together and have their convention March 26. After March 26, in politics, 24 hours is too long. A lot of things will begin to fall into place. Both the governors who wants to control the party, the presidency, and the members of the National Assembly who have done something. The governors lost 2 weeks yesterday, do you know? they lost control of the legislature. They lost control of the local government. Because now, if the president should sign it into law, no governor can. The issue of a joint local government account is gone. The issue of seizing the money of judiciary is gone. The issue of seizing the money of the legislature is gone. So if we can have independence for these three organs, then we begin to have a semblance of governance in the states. And so it will happen at the presidency. So from what happened yesterday, you may not follow it, but the governors are losing gradually. Because if you don't have control over the state legislature, you don't have control over the finances of the judiciary, and we don't have control over local government, then what are you going to control? That is why the issue of convention on APC is very crucial to the survival of the party.
I agree. So, but Paul, when you look at this situation critically, you mentioned that the party is has a little bit of a fragile unity. Yeah. Now, if the party is talking about trying to reconcile differences and ensure that it is ready for the polls next year, what do you think the party should be looking at in terms of uniting all differences so that they can pose a united front next year?
APC should simply remember its history. APC should remember how it was formed. APC is a combination of several interests coming together. Remember that some disenchanted persons left PDP when something like this was happening in PDP, when there was a serious clash of interests. So you then had what they call NPDP. So the NPDP came, CPC came, ACN came, a part of ANPP came, then ABGA, part of ABGA came together. Now, PDP thought that it was very big. PDP used to boast that we are the biggest political party in Africa. PDP thought it was invincible, unstoppable, and all of that. But then reality dawned on PDP. Up till this moment, PDP has not been able to recover. Do you understand?
Right.
PDP crumbled like Humpty Dumpty. You understand? He couldn't believe what happened. It was like a dream when it was roundly routed in that election. Now, APC shouldn't think that that cannot happen.
Right.
So people must learn to suspend their interest for the greater good. Now, these interests are very entrenched. Very, very entrenched interests. Yes, he mentioned those three major interests. The legislators, the presidency, and the governors who fund the parties. We were talking about the fact that, in those days, parties were funded by
party members.
Party members. People would donate their pennies, convert their pennies joyfully,
right.
Readily. But now, the almighty governors, they control everything.
The watchers.
And now we are having individuals stronger than the parties, so they almost always get what they want. But you can't continue like that. You just otherwise they will be surprised. I'm not even thinking of a third force, because by the Electoral Act, only 18 parties are qualified to. So INEC is not going to register any party anymore. But what might happen is that they might even go and join smaller parties or strengthen another party.
Well, let me hold your thought. Let's quickly take this call from Jos. Ada, please go ahead with your contribution.
Hey, the handout is Ada calling from Jos Plateau State.
Yes, we're hearing you.
I sympathize with APC. You know what? They are living in denial. All is not well with that party because of lack of internal party democracy. Where you have a democracy without principles, that is the problem. Now, some of them are saying kicking against consensus because they are proposing. That's an issue. And then they come out on the pages of newspapers and start telling us that they are ready for the convention on the 26th. I doubt very much if they can have that convention on the 26th. And if they have, I just pray they don't end up in pieces the way it's going. It's really unfortunate. Well, but what goes around comes around. That said, Buni is jubilating that he's winning people. The people you are winning, what are you winning them for? You forget that when the chips are down, they go back to their where they came from. And they start sounding spiritual. They will say that their eyes are now open, they were blind, and they will still take them back. That's Nigerian politics for you.
Thank you very much, Ada. We appreciate your contribution. Tunde, indeed, she said, what goes around comes around. So it's more like what Paul was positing earlier on. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, exactly. Because in 2014, when the parties came together, you see, it is so easy to come together if you have common interest to get something. You sink your differences. You even pretend as if there are no differences. They sang their differences and they come together. But after having spent 7 years in government and were only able to have 2 national conventions, it means that the ground can no longer hold again. It means that nothing binds them together except to get power for their own personal selfish ends. And like I said, if the party is able to hold this convention March 26, and the center can still hold, they can still manage between March and August this year when they must produce their candidates. If the center could be held, then the party can survive. If the center cannot hold, like he said, a lot of things will happen between March and August that will make some people, because most of those people in these parties are for personal interest, not for any party interest. No ideology again. In the evening you say you are in PDP. In the following morning, the man will say I am now in APC. So all of them are personal interest pursuing. That is why principally the APC cannot even have a control.